In the name of Deputy John Brady, it was 30 seconds.
Thank you, Minister. The privatisation of the job activation programme through JobPath has been a nightmare for job seekers right across the state. And time again, I've raised this issue with your predecessor and with you directly as well, Minister. Can I ask you, are you aware of the serious difficulties within the JobPath programme and the fact that JobPath is actually going above and beyond what it was initially set up to do?
Minister has 2 minutes.
Thanks, Councillor. The only thing I can do is to look at the facts, Deputy, and all of the evidence available to me indicates that the experience of customers who have engaged with JobPath has been exceptionally positive. And I mean, it isn't drawn from anecdotal evidence, it's drawn from a survey. We did a customer satisfaction survey over the last couple of months, and it indicated up to 81% of customers felt they were satisfied with the service provided by JobPath and that it actually had improved their chances of securing employment. Only between 5 and 8% of people expressed dissatisfaction. And when you put that in real terms, that means out of the 120,000 people that we've assisted through this scheme over the last 18 months, 368 people have made a complaint. That's tiny. That's not a huge issue. That's not people jumping up and down saying that they have an issue. That's thousands upon thousands of people saying that the experience that they've had with JobPath has been entirely positive. And the results are what counts from our perspective. That we targeted JobPath with a results-based approach, and they've exceeded those results by the targeted approach I think that we gave them was 8%, and they're actually currently at 4% of activation. So I actually have to tell you that we would be very, very happy with the overachievement, with the treatment, with the interaction, and in the main, actually, what speaks volumes for me is that the vast majority of the 120,000 people that have actually interacted with all of those offices over the last 12 to 18 months have an 81% satisfaction rate. So I suppose I can't really go much further than to say that, yes, obviously there are some people who would have interactions that they haven't appreciated. You and I spoke about one a number of months ago, and I have discovered the root of that particular problem, and it has been, I don't know what the word is, it certainly won't ever happen again. But again, on reflection of the 120,000 people that are there, that have interacted, that have an entirely positive outlook, a really, really tiny amount of people haven't. So I can only go by the results.
Deputy. One minute.
Minister, JobPath was initially set up to assist long-term unemployed people, and you make reference to 120,000 people, and of that only a small number have made complaints. But the reality is people are afraid to make complaints because the powers that JobPath has to stop payments, curtail payments, or withhold a proportion of the payments. The reality is it is not working. And there are serious problems in relation to what it was initially set up to do, get long-term unemployed people back into work. And it's not doing that on two different areas. The one reason is that it's actually targeting now. We have intro offices referring people over to Doherty and CTEC who are literally weeks, in some cases days, unemployed. So certainly by no means or stretch of the imagination long-term unemployed. And also we have a situation now where people who are engaged in part-time work, looking after family, children, etc., and work that suits their particular needs and means. And as I said, only signing on for a couple of days a week. And now they are being referred over to JobPath and actually being hounded by Doherty and CTEC. So can I ask you, Minister, when did the JobPath programme cease to be a programme to target long-term unemployed to really a brush that deals with anybody now at any stage that signs on for job seekers?
Minister's 1 minute.
First of all, just to clarify, it only looks after long-term unemployed. So the description that you've just described does not happen. And if you have actual evidence as opposed to anecdotal statements, then I would suggest that you bring them to me, because if it did happen, then they would be operating outside of their contract. We've had a number of conversations about this, and I'm always surprised by the fact that your view of an organisation that was contracted to activate people, actually help them get work from a long-term unemployment register. That's actually working. We set them a target of 8% and they're achieving 14%. They only get paid when they actually achieve a positive result. So if they work with somebody and they don't find them a job, they don't get paid. They only get paid when they positively find somebody work that has been long-term unemployed. And if you can find actual statistics to show me that if they're working outside of their remit, well then I will deal with those. But you cannot escape the fact that this activation programme was established, subcontracted to these two companies who employ 1,000 Irish people, to work with other Irish people who are long-term unemployed to get them jobs, are actually getting them jobs. They're working. The 120,000 people that have been through the doors of Doherty and CTEC over the last year, 81% of them have a positive attitude towards the service.
Deputy Brady, short supplementary.
Certainly, I'm hearing what you're saying, and certainly the evidence that I have, and I will present you with the evidence that these are working totally outside of the contracts that are in place. We have teachers, for example, who are subbing. They are now being forced over to CTEC and Doherty. We have people just straight out of college being referred over to JobPath. As I said, they are going above and beyond. And Minister, the reality here is you've privatised an essential service. You've created a monster. And now, because of the nature of the contract that is in place, that monster needs to be fed. And I appreciate that unemployment levels are down. So it appears now that, to keep feeding that privatised model that has been brought forward, now you're looking at other areas, short-term unemployed people, people directly out of college, teachers, and I have the evidence and I will present it to you, teachers who are subbing from one end of the week, don't know what days they're going to be working, there's no contracts there, they are being hounded by JobPath, by Doherty and CTEC. And Minister, your survey that was carried out is meaningless. Get out on the ground and engage. Talk to the people who are being hounded, who are fearful that their payments will be stopped. And Minister, I ask you to carry out a full review of it.
Now, at the start, people will have to respect the time.
First of all, the service isn't privatised; it's subcontracted. The same way as a tremendous amount of our social protection offices up and down the country are subcontracted out. So this business of privatising is probably ill-informed. The purpose of this scheme was to help people who were long-term unemployed get work, get meaningful jobs, and it is working. So 14% of the people who have gone to these people in the last 18 months now have work, whereas we only targeted them with 8%. And there are nobody outside of the long-term employed being hounded. The survey that was conducted was anonymous, so therefore there was nobody unwilling to put down something on a piece of paper without their name on it for fear, as you have suggested, and I think incorrectly, that they would be hounded. The reason the Department of Social Welfare is there is to support people when they haven't got work to get back into work when we're talking about job seekers. It's not to hound people, it's to help people. It's not to hound people, it's to activate people and to put them on the right path through training and support to make sure that they are ready to be able to go to work. And it is working. 14% of the 120,000 people that have gone through the doors have got work, and 81% of the people who have gone through the doors have a satisfactory rating very high.